Cupcake Jemma here, and we're here with Sam behind the camera in Sam's beautiful kitchen, and we've also got Sally in the background. She's gonna make sure I don't forget anything important, like the fact that yesterday on Sorted Foods channel, we took part in a Pass It On challenge with them. So make sure you check that out. We made together, collectively, a pretty awful trifle. It was mostly them. We tried to save it, didn't we, Sally?
Yeah.
But it wasn't to be. So we are definitely determined to give you a really awesome trifle recipe over the next few weeks. So make sure you're subscribed to the Cupcake Jemma channel so you don't miss that. Now, why are we here? Well, we're here to make a Dulce De Leche Cheesecake. I blooming love cheesecake and I love Dulce De Leche. If you don't know what that is, it's essentially kind of like a caramelized milk product. If you've heard of condensed milk, then that's like a really super sweet milk which you find in a tin, and if you cook that over a long period of time just by covering it in a saucepan with about 2 inches of water over the top of the tin, bringing it to the boil and boiling it on a sort of low rolling boil for about 4 hours. It is a bit of a commitment, but it is worth it because in the end you end up with this amazing stuff. This sticky, caramelly, toffee-like, yummy deliciousness. Oh, it's so good. I mean, you could just spread that on things, but I am going to make a cheesecake with it. So, without further ado, the cheesecake is going to have a delicious Oreo buttery biscuit base. It's not 1, but 2 cheesecake fillings. Also, I'm gonna add chocolate ganache because why the heck not? And I'm gonna put some pie crumb on it, some chocolatey pie crumb. So this is gonna be a really decadent dessert. So let's do it. So in my bowl here, I have 275 grams of Oreo crumbs, which are basically whizzed up in the food processor to a fine crumb consistency, like that. And that is with the cream. Some of you often ask if I scoop the cream out. No, keep the cream in there. That's really important. I'm going to add 75 grams of melted butter, which is also slightly cool. You don't want to make this when the butter is really hot. And just for good measure and a little bit of extra flavor, a pinch of salt. And just with a wooden spoon, mix that all up so that it's all nicely combined to a kind of wet sand consistency. Okay, that's looking pretty good. So I've got an 8-inch Springform pan. I'm using a Springform pan for the cheesecake because it just makes it so much easier to remove. You can use like a loose bottom cake tin. You'll just have to like push it up from the bottom, but this way I can just get it out really easily. And I've lined that with some greaseproof paper, and I'm just going to dump all of this lovely breadcrumbage in. Now, what I want from this buttery biscuit base is for it to line the bottom, but also go slightly up the top. So I'm going to be using this little mug. You can use like a straight-sided glass or even a tin can. And I'm going to start by sort of evening it out, but also easing it from the middle to the sides. So I want to make sure it's nice and packed. Oh, sorry. Didn't see you there. Now, I'm not trying to get it all the way up the sides because that would be awfully tall, and actually I quite like the drama of having the dark buttery biscuit base and then the light colour of the cheesecake filling once it goes in. So that's ready. So for now, I'm going to pop that into the oven at 170 degrees C, which is a fan-assisted oven temperature, and I'm going to do that for 10 minutes. Okay, this has had 10 minutes, and what you will notice is that the Oreo crumb kind of puffs up. So obviously you don't want that with your cheesecake. So I'm going to use the same cup to just press that all back down again and compactify it. That's a new word that I like. Once you've flattened it all out, then you just need to let that cool first before we go any further. So let it get to room temperature, then put it into the fridge for half an hour, or if you're in a rush, put it into the freezer for 10 minutes. Okay, he's nice and chilled out, so now it's time to get on with making the cheesecake filling. So I'm gonna start by making the kind of base filling, and then we're gonna split it up and make it 2 different flavors. So I've got a nice big bowl here, and I'm going to put 700 grams of regular cream cheese in there. And then to that, I'm going to add 85 grams of icing sugar, and I'm going to sift that just to make sure there's no lumps. Lovely. And I would like to also add 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and that's just going to help bring all the flavors out. And also a teaspoon of good quality vanilla extract. And that will just make it just taste delicious. Don't forget you can buy our vanilla extract on the Cupcake Jemma website. Cha-ching! So now I'm going to use my trusty hand blender, mixer type thing, to just whip it up together, make sure it's all nicely combined and slightly thick and whippy. We are whipped. And now we need to carry on whipping, but this time we need to do the double cream. So in a separate bowl, I'm going to put 210 milliliters of double cream, nice thick double cream. And I'm going to whip that to a sort of soft peak texture. All right, that's looking mighty soft whippy. So now I'm going to combine the two. So just pop the cream into the cream cheese. Plop. And this is just going to add a nice bit of lightness to the whole shebang. You don't want it to just be pure cream cheese because that will just feel a little bit heavy, I think. So get whipping again. Brillo pads. Right, so we're going to pop that there, and that's the basic cheesecake filling done, but obviously we're going to jazz it up a little bit. So I'm going to start by taking out about 1/3 of that mixture and just putting it to one side, and we're going to do something fun with that later. That'll probably, maybe a touch more. That'll probably do it. And that goes to one side. And so to start with, I've got my nice chilled buttery biscuit Oreo base. I'm going to literally dump all of that remaining 2/3 of cheesecake filling into that. And then just using a cranked palette knife, just level that out gently. So once it's nice and level, just make sure the edges are nice and clean. And if that means losing a tiny bit of cheesecake filling, then just say goodbye to it. You can always eat it later. It's another secret of ours. So that's done. Now, that's going to get a lot more exciting any second because now it's time for Dulce De Leche. So I have a piping bag here and I have a lovely big bowl of previously long boiled Dulce De Leche. Now this is actually more than a tin here, so but what you'll need to do with your single tin is put half of that into this piping bag. But obviously I'm going to wing it because I've got more. I wanted you to see lots of it in the bowl. So pop some into the piping bag here. Oh, it's so sticky and it smells amazing. Ooh. Hands up who wants to just eat a spoonful. Anyone else?
Me!
Yeah. There she is. Okay, I reckon that's about half. It's up to you. You don't have to use that much, or you can use more. So this is going to form the secret puddles within the cheesecake. So just nip the end off with a pair of scissors. Boop. And now, excitement time. So I'm going to literally stab into this cheesecake filling right to the bottom and squeeze as I pull up, which is going to create these lovely little pockets that will kind of reveal themselves once you've cut into it later on. Oh, surprise Dulce De Leche puddles. This is very satisfying to do because it all kind of swells up around the piping bag. Oh my goodness, that's going to be so delicious when we cut into it. But first, we have to just do a few things. So I'm going to start by just leveling that off a bit, just so it's not like really lumpy bumpy. I want it to be nice and neat. And it doesn't matter too much if there's a little swirl on the top. Next is the second layer of the cheesecake. So remember that third we put to one side? Well, it's time to let him have his moment. So we're going to pop him back into the big bowl. And I also have 100 grams of the Dulce De Leche just measured out, which I'm going to add to that. like so. Now, this sometimes can make the cheesecake filling part of it a little bit runny, which I will see in a minute. If it does go a little bit runny, that's okay. Just whack your mixer out again and give it a little whisk. Yeah, so this is a little bit runny, so I am gonna get my mixer out, which is like one of my favorite things to do anyway, and just give it a little whip just to thicken it up a bit. Done, diddly-un. And now all that remains is to pop all of that on top of your previous layer. So grab your tin back and pour it in. This bowl is heavier than I had anticipated. But we're all in. And then just to make things pretty, get your palette knife back and level it off. Oh, yum, that just looks so delicious. So that's nice and flat. This obviously does need to chill. I mean, maybe it's not obvious. It's obvious to me, but you do need to chill it for at least 6 hours. That's an ideal scenario. Well, really the ideal scenario is overnight, but 6 hours should do it. So pop that in the fridge. And while that's chilling, I'm going to make something to pop on the top for a bit of decoration. And that's just gonna be a chocolate pie crumb. So I've got a bowl here and I've got 85 grams of plain flour. I've got 35 grams of good quality cocoa powder, 20 grams of caster sugar. I'm going to add 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And also I've melted 60 grams of butter, which is now slightly cool, which is ideal. Pop that in as well. Whee! And then I'm going to mix that all together. Now, what I'm looking for is a kind of crumbly nugget. Now you might need to get your fingers in there, and I actually quite enjoy doing that. But also you might need to add a little bit of water, so have a look at it. It does look a little bit on the dry side at the minute, so I'm going to just put a little tiny splash of cold water in. And then just to break up these nuggets a little bit more, I'm going to get my fingers in there and just rub and separate any gigantic nuggets to be smaller. And what you want is a nice little bite-sized nugget collection that you can pop on top of your cheesecake. So once we're at that point, you can bake them. So I'm going to pop them into a baking tray, which I've lined with a bit of greaseproof paper just in case they stick. Spread them all about. Just make any massive nuggets a bit smaller. And then bake those at 170 for 10 minutes. Oh, thankfully, I haven't had to wait 6 hours for this because we actually made one early, didn't we, Sally? Hee-hee! So, it's time to finish the decoration off. It will require a little bit more chilling, but the first things first, we're gonna make it look pretty. So I have some chocolate ganache here, which I have just made. If you don't know how to make chocolate ganache, it's 100 grams of chocolate, whether it's 70% or 54%, it's up to you, and 100 grams of double cream. Now you can do that in the microwave, just in like 30-second to a minute burst stirring every time, or you can bring your cream to the boil and then pour it over the chocolate and then stir it, and it will have the same result. But here we are with some lovely ganache. I'm gonna pop that on top. Yummy. And I want to spread that out, but I don't want to spread it all the way to the edge because I really like this colour combo that's going on here. So this kind of caramelly brown and the very dark chocolatey brown. So just using my palette knife, I'm going to ease it over to the edges a little bit. And I still have some leftover Dulce De Leche, and you probably will as well. So I've put mine into a piping bag. Just going to snip the end off. Beep. And then give it a little wiggle around the outside of the ganache. And now using my chocolate pie crumbs, I'm just gonna decorate all around the top of my little wiggles I just did. Oh, that is so good looking, but obviously it's not quite ready. It just needs to set in the fridge for about 10 minutes, so I'm gonna pop that in and try and resist peeking. The time has come, my friends, to see what lies beneath this pool of ganache in this delicious cheesecake. I mean, we all know because we've watched the video, hopefully. But I've got my very sharp knife that Sam has sharpened, and they're always quite scary when Sam does that. Whew. So here goes. Guys! We just made quite a fit cheesecake here. This cheesecake, look at that! Look at this beautiful crust and this lovely fluffy cheesecake filling, and then this delicious, voluptuous Dulce De Leche cheesecake layer. The ganache, the crumb, it's got it all going on. And it's going in my mouth. Oh yeah, hello. Mmm. Hell yeah. That is so delicious. You just get enough of that Dulce De Leche, but hang on. Do I want more? Hell yeah, I do. I'm gonna get some off the top, put it in my mouth. Hang on, we need some pockets. There's definitely some in here because I put so much in this cake. Oh, hang on, I've kind of collapsed it, but it's in there. Yummers. What a brilliant thing condensed milk is, eh? Who knew? I mean, we all knew. And then I just reaffirmed. So, I hope you give this a go. Don't forget you can share your photos with us by posting them to Instagram and using the hashtag CupcakeJemma. Actually, no, it's CupcakeJemma. A Cupcake Jemma. I'm just trying to make myself sound more exciting, but turns out I'm just really boring. What else do I need to tell you? Don't forget to subscribe to the Cupcake Jemma channel, and if you've liked this video, then please do give it the thumbs up using the little thumbs up icon, because it really does help us out. And also it helps us to know that you're enjoying what we're doing, which I really hope is the case. If it's not, then obviously let us know. Actually don't. I don't need my self-esteem knocked. We'll be back next week with another recipe video for you. In the meantime, if you haven't checked out the Sorted Food collaborations, then make sure you head over to their channel to check those out. And yeah, lots of exciting things going on. Oh, Sally's pointing into her mouth like, who's the cat? Simon's cat. So I'm afraid I'm going to have to go and feed Sally. Not literally, because that would be weird. So I'm going to love you and leave you. Thanks for joining me. Bye. Can I just have one more bit first?
No. My turn.